The thing that I appreciate most about Jepson is the people. I've learned so much from both my professors and my classmates, and that's something that I'm extremely grateful for and have undoubtedly made friendships that'll last a lifetime.
What I love the most about the Jepson School is definitely the professors. I've been in class with philosophers, lawyers, political scientists, and they all bring a unique perspective to the classroom.
Definitely the wide variety of professors and the different backgrounds that they come from, like philosophy, history, and social sciences, just to name a few. I think that the professors coming from different backgrounds and showing their passions for different topics has really given me the tools to think critically about the world in so many different ways that I wouldn't have been able to without Jepson.
What I love most about the Jepson School is that I'm able to learn about so many things under the one lens of leadership. For example, I'm able to learn about history, sociology, and philosophy, all while also learning how to be a leader through our one school.
The diversity of thought throughout all of our class discussions and debates, especially in our ethics class with Dr. Hidalgo. There was many different perspectives on various points of ethics, and it was really interesting to discuss.
What I love the most about the Jepson School is the faculty. I felt very touched and cared about by every single member of the faculty here.
The faculty have such diverse backgrounds. I've had the privilege to be able to take classes ranging from Native American studies to criminal justice.
What I love most about the Jepson School is how I was able to walk into any one of my professors' offices and hound them with any questions I had about our class or life in general, and they were more than accommodating.
I love the faculty at the Jepson School the most. You can tell they're really passionate about what they're teaching, and they love to make a difference in our education.
The Jepson class that had the biggest impact on me would definitely have to be leadership in the international context, because it brought together my love of history and my love of leadership studies to really help immerse me in historical situations that a lot of our leaders in the past have had to go through.
Dr. Henley's special topics elective called Killers and Cults. We talked about the rise of serial killers and the development of cult leaders, and it was really interesting in that it challenged all the conventional things I'd learned about the emergence of leadership, and also just really offered a new perspective on the dangers of leadership.
Dr. Flanagan's ethical decision-making in healthcare class definitely challenged me the most. I remember not being very interested in philosophy before the class, but by the end of the semester, it was one of my favorite courses I've ever taken, and Dr. Flanagan had me just casually citing all of these different scholars and using their work to make my own arguments better in real life.
Dr. Flanagan's ethical decision-making in healthcare class challenged the way we approach complex healthcare topics while providing us with the opportunity to develop our own philosophical arguments.
Dr. Henley's Killers and Cults class, where we had to catch the killer by finding a new clue hidden in Jepson Hall each week, and then at the end of the semester, put them all together using a 200-page document to catch the killer.
First class that came to mind for me was leadership ethics applied in the field. The biggest takeaway I got from that class was that public speaking is really boring and that a little bit goes a long way when it comes to engagement, comedy, or just any kinds of efforts to bring people back in.
My leadership ethics class really challenged me to think differently because everything I thought I was set on in my views, we challenged in debate and through class discussion. Overall, I just thought it was a really interesting class, and it got me to think differently about my life and everything around me.
Dr. Flanagan's health ethics elective really encouraged the students to think about both the personal and medical sides of healthcare, and that's really important to me as I want to go into medicine.
For me, Justice and Civil Society was the class that shifted my perspective the most. And in that class, we were taught to look back at the issues from the past and understand how and why they were made. And then once we have that, we can start to rectify them in the present day.
I think the Jepson class that challenged me the most was probably critical thinking, because it asks you to think outside of the box and challenge your understanding of the world and things that are happening around you in a way that I've never done before.
My aha moment was in Dr. Hidalgo's leadership ethics class. Through debates, daily activities about real life scenarios, he pushed us to really think outside of the box and was able to do this by making the classroom a very comfortable and intimate environment.
I think that the most important thing Jepson has given me when I approach leadership positions is the idea of servant-based leadership and the idea that the follower and the leader are both integral and they're both serving each other.
Over the summer, I worked for a management and marketing internship where I was able to apply everything I've learned here at Jepson. I worked with diverse groups and was able to apply different leadership styles. I've also been a captain on the women's basketball team for the last 2 seasons.
This summer, the company that I work for, we have a bunch of different territories all across the country, shipped everyone out and we ended up having a big basketball tournament. I ended up coaching a team, and I was able to use the critical thinking skills that I learned in Jepson to apply that into the team setting, and we were very successful. We ended up finishing second in the tournament, and I was very proud of the accomplishment that we had.
I was the team leader at J. Crew for my Jepson internship this past summer, and I had to navigate a lot of different personalities and ways of thinking, and that led to a really successful end product.
I've used my Jepson education and my time as a men's club volleyball president to help motivate people and make difficult decisions.
My Jepson education encouraged me to start a university program called a Peer Wellness Coaching Program, which is dedicated to improving the well-being of students on campus through creating tailored plans on how they can implement healthy habits in their daily life.
This past year, I've been part of a business school course that tasks us with bringing a product to market. And through my leadership studies, it was clear to me that the interpersonal skills and the value of that was highly important in our group's success.
I was the co-coordinator of the Jepson Science Leadership Scholars Program. In this role, I had the opportunity to present to new Jepson students on my passion for healthcare and medical ethics.
I'll be going into my 5th year eligibility here on the Spiders football team, and I've been selected by my coaches and teammates to be a captain. And I think that my Jepson experience here and learning how to connect with different minds and different attitudes and personalities through this school and this education through the school has been essential to that. And hopefully this year we have a good year and I can kind of fill that leadership role the way I'm supposed to be.
This past year, I took on the role as campus manager for an apparel company, and Jepson has taught me a lot of skills about how to run my own business here on campus. Taught me about time management, conflict resolution, but it's also opened me up to a network of people that want to see me succeed.
I've had 2 research opportunities as a Jepson student. As a sophomore, I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Henley on historical research, which focused on incarceration, gender, and crime in the early 20th century American South. As a senior, I'm working on an honors thesis with Dr. Park, focusing on informational processing, generational differences, and contemporary social issues.
Dr. Flanagan and I are working on an honors thesis right now about the pharmaceutical industry and more specifically about marketing to consumers and to doctors as well. It's been great to learn from such an expert in her field.
I'm looking at the advantages and disadvantages women experience in leadership relative to men and how people's gender egalitarian related beliefs might influence their perceptions of people in leadership.
This semester I'm taking independent study and I'm talking about music and its relationships with culture and politics and how that can influence people's behaviors.
I am studying the rhetoric used to talk about abortion during the 2016 presidential election. I'm looking at metaphors and framing strategies used by Democrats and Republicans throughout their presidential campaigns.
The research I'm doing at Jepson, I'm doing with Dr. Hoyt, and basically we're looking at the intersection between gender and leadership and what that means for organizational ideologies.
For my honors thesis, I'm researching the legal and ethical issues around brain death for both patients and their families. I'm also making a corresponding reacting game to teach instructors and students about the issues associated with brain death.
I'm working to understand how public health messaging and the different evidences can be used to combat maternal mortality and the disparities in the U.S.
I've been very fortunate to be a Jepson student because as I have been making a video game, I've been able to do research with full-time faculty here to understand how games make people feel and how that can make them make certain choices and have empathy.
My Jepson internship was completed at Bloomingdale's, and I was a buying intern in the fine and gold jewelry department. At Bloomingdale's, I was able to see the nature of leadership and the dynamic of leader-follower relations at such a large, busy, and ever-evolving organization.
While interning at Sotheby's, I was effectively able to utilize critical thinking skills that I learned through the Jepson School while also establishing healthy leader-follower relationships with my colleagues and supervisors.
I completed my Jepson internship in Cape Town, South Africa with Dive Consulting Group, working for an NGO that fights HIV and AIDS. And I applied principles of leadership when assigning people their research tasks throughout the project in both transactional and transformational ways.
This summer, I completed my internship at Boston Digital, which is a digital marketing agency in Boston, and I used some of my charisma and extroversion that I learned through leadership to help combat some gender role disparities that we learned about in class.
I completed my Jepson internship at United States Track and Field. This was a great
opportunity for me to use both my knowledge of leadership and my experience from being on the track and cross country teams here. Made use of the experience I learned through my leadership classes to try to bring about a more well-rounded environment that connects the lower level employees to the upper level employees.
I interned at a nonprofit called Episteme, which provided leadership courses to women in STEM, and inherent in the organization were leadership principles to advance women in their careers.
I completed my internship at Generation Teach. It's a nonprofit organization trying to lower the teacher shortage and improve educational equity across the country. And I applied leadership principles by using transformational leadership to build really great relationships with my students and make them excited to come to school.
I went through COA in an internship in Sevilla, Spain, working with both Fatima and Arduan Salud, doing radiation oncology and gynecology. And there I was able to learn about how I can use leadership theory to analyze the kind of team that I'm in and how I fit best in that team.
I completed my Jepson internship at Pilot Company in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was a digital products intern. I was able to apply many transferable skills such as critical thinking to my internship.
I completed my Jepson internship at United Healthcare, and I applied leadership principles to this internship by taking initiative on all the projects I completed while also effectively communicating with my fellow interns. And I also made it a point to introduce myself to everyone in the office, even if I wasn't directly working with them. I completed my Jepson internship at Virginia Supportive Housing in Richmond. Throughout this internship, I drew on content from my Justice and Civil Society course with Dr. Coker, where we learned about social challenges through a variety of different theories of justice. And this was directly applicable to my internship, where I worked with people with a variety of different backgrounds.
I'm going to get my master's in public health, and I hope to work with oral health policy helping rural populations.
Last summer, I interned at BNY Mellon for my Jepson internship, and after graduation, I'll be returning there full-time, doing wealth management in their New York City office.
Next year, I will be moving to New York City, working for a company called Alpha Sites, and I'll be working for hedge fund clients there. I was fortunate enough to receive a return offer from the company after completing my Jepson summer internship there.
After graduation, I'll be headed to New York City and Barclays, where I did my Jepson internship. I'll be working in their compliance department.
Last summer, I completed my Jepson internship at Alpha Sites in New York City. This summer, I will be returning there as a client services associate, where I will be working with consulting firms.
Last summer, I found in my internship that I really enjoyed marketing in the finance sector, which allowed me to find a job at Voya Financial Services to be a brand marketing analyst in New York City after I graduate.
I'm going to head back home to the suburbs of New York, hopefully get a job in the business world and keep learning and implementing new skills and hopefully have some fun while doing it.
I'll be headed to New York City to be a commercial banking analyst at Citibank. I received a full-time offer there after I completed my Jepson internship.
I completed my Jepson summer internship with a wealth management group at JP Morgan in New York City, and I'm happy to share that I will be returning full-time upon my graduation.
I received a full scholarship from the Jepson Scholars Foundation to attend the University of Oxford to receive my Master's of Science in Nature, Society, and Environmental Governance.